Hello and welcome to another Explainer. Have you ever watched someone walk into a crowded room and just instantly, effortlessly connect with everyone? It honestly looks like magic, right? Well, actually, scratch that. It's not magic at all. It's a structured skill that you can absolutely learn. Okay, let's dive into this and shift our entire mindset about what talking to people actually means. We're going to completely transform the way you view conversation, taking it from this high-pressure, stressful performance where you feel like you got to entertain everyone to a relaxed, utterly fascinating journey of discovery. To pull this off, we're looking at the chronological life cycle of a conversation. We'll cover the curiosity mindset, the first 3 seconds, upgrading your small talk, the conversational boomerang, reading the hidden language, and we'll wrap it up with the golden thread. We are building your confidence step by step from that very first greeting all the way to complex digital chats. So let's kick things off with Section 1, the curiosity mindset, shifting the paradigm. Because, before you utter a single syllable, there's a foundational mental shift that needs to happen. Now, what's really interesting about this shift is how it completely debunks the biggest myth about social interaction. The old way of thinking tells us that conversation is a performance. We mistakenly believe we have to be naturally fascinating, constantly witty, and, perfectly articulate all the time. But the new way? It tells us that the absolute most magnetic people aren't those who speak brilliantly at all. They're the ones who listen intently. They approach every single person like a great unread book. They aren't trying to perform, they're trying to discover. Which brings us to this incredibly powerful idea. Charisma isn't about being impressive, it's about being impressed. Think about the irony here for a second. We will literally spend hours researching restaurant menus online, carefully debating the merits of the Atlantic salmon over the sea bass, right? But we won't spend 30 seconds being genuinely curious about the complex human being sitting right across the table from us. Once you've made that internal shift, we enter the physical world with Section 2, the first 3 seconds, establishing presence. This is the critical window that dictates how the rest of your chat will unfold. In those very first 3 seconds, people aren't judging your words. They are reading your energy. Before you even say hello, you need to execute a simple sequence. Step 1, pause and breathe. Step 2, make deliberate eye contact and offer a genuine smile. And only then do you move to Step 3, speak. This tiny sequence establishes instant psychological safety. Think about dogs for a second. You know how a dog gets incredibly, uncontrollably excited just because you looked at them? Well, humans are wired the exact same way. We secretly crave that exact same undivided attention. We just want to know someone is genuinely happy to see us. But of course, after you greet someone, you eventually have to talk. And that leads to a pretty stark question. Why are we so afraid of silence? We hit a 2-second lull and our brains sound an absolute panic alarm. But we need to flip that fear entirely, and this brilliantly illustrates why. Rushing to fill every gap signals insecurity. Comfortable pauses signal confidence. Silence literally creates the space for meaning to emerge. Next time you ask an important question, try counting to 3 in your head before responding to what they say. This simple pause honors what the other person shared. It proves you're actually processing their words, not just waiting for your turn to speak. All right, so you've nailed the introduction. You're comfortable with a pause. Now we dive into the mechanics of the chat in Section 3, upgrading your small talk, high-value questions. It all comes down to the quality of your questions. Contrast these two. The standard autopilot is, what do you do? That just gathers boring facts. But a high-value question, that sounds like, what part of your work lights you up? High-value questions invite stories. They invite feelings. It's so ironic how we willingly hand over our exact location data to Google Maps 24/7 without a second thought, but we get strangely defensive when someone asks us a slightly personal question at a party. Lean into the personal. Ask about processes and passions. Even with great questions, you're probably thinking, okay, that's great, but what do I say next? What happens when the story ends and you're staring down a conversational dead end? That fear brings us perfectly to Section 4, the conversational boomerang, creating natural flow. Master this and you will literally never panic about running out of topics again. It's a 3-step triad. Step 1, receive the information completely. Step 2, reflect key words or feelings. Step 3, return with a related insight or question. So the crucial point is that by mirroring a keyword back to them, you create a connection bridge. If they say work has been challenging with all the new projects, you reflect by saying, New projects creating challenges. What's been the most unexpected part of that? See? Your next question is already hidden inside their last response. You don't need to invent new topics. You just need to boomerang theirs back with genuine curiosity. Now let's elevate the stakes a bit in Section 5, reading the hidden language, navigating nuance. Because eventually, you're going to find yourself in complex situations where words simply aren't enough. There's an entire conversation happening beneath the actual words. To read a room, you got to tune into 3 channels. Body language, like shifts in posture, emotional tone, so paying attention to the pitch and pace of their voice, and conversational energy, noting how fast they respond. If someone says, "That's interesting," but their arms are firmly crossed and they're leaning away, well, the rule is simple. Trust the nonverbal over the verbal every single time there's a contradiction. This nonverbal awareness is vital for navigating conflict. Let's look at the bridge before barrier framework. Instead of throwing up a defensive barrier like, "You're always late, it's disrespectful," you build a bridge. You say, "I value our time together, and I've noticed a pattern of starting later." This completely disarms their defense mechanism and transforms an argument into a safe space for real dialogue. And when you're in that safe space, this right here is the most powerful phrase you can ever use in a difficult conversation. Help me understand. It acts as a genuine request for insight. It's not a combative challenge. It tells the other person that you aren't trying to win, you are trying to connect. So, how do we take all of these deeply human elements and apply them to the modern world? Let's move to our final section, the golden thread, digital and beyond. Let's move to and see how this builds into our digital text threads. In digital channels, about 70% of meaning is completely lost. You can't rely on facial expressions or vocal tone, so you must be overly explicit. A text without context, like "we need to talk about the project," induces instant panic. But a text with context, "I have thoughts on the timeline. 15 minutes tomorrow, nothing urgent." That saves the day. You have to write the tone into the message itself to maintain psychological safety. Whether you're on a video call or sitting in a coffee shop, you must bring the rule of 3 for full presence. Physical presence means devices are away and eyes are engaged. Mental presence means focusing on the exact moment you're in. And emotional presence means actually allowing yourself to be affected by what they're saying. Just remember, 5 minutes of full, undivided attention absolutely beats an entire hour of distracted, phone-glancing conversation. And that brings us to the ultimate synthesis of our explainer today, the golden thread. This is authentic curiosity combined with generous attention. At the end of the day, your intentions matter so much more than executing perfect techniques. Honestly, the real secret to being a masterful conversationalist is acting exactly like our 5-year-old selves, just endlessly curious about the world and the people in it. Well, minus the booger questions. Which leaves us with this final thought, a reminder that every single person you meet has a universe of experiences, passions, and insights hidden just beneath the surface. If conversation is truly a journey of discovery, what hidden world will you uncover in your very next interaction? Take these tools, step out of the performance, and start exploring. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.